So let's talk about Baby Driver, but I really want to be very discreet and very spoiler free on this because this movie, in terms of the jokes and just the plot, I really don't want to spoil it because really this is. They did a great job with the trailers. They really made it seem like they didn't show much, and whenever you see the movie, you'll understand how much they showed in the trailer really didn't amount too much in the movie in terms of just showing a lot of scenes. And I really love that. I love when trailers do that because it doesn't give away what happens at the end or makes it seem like you're going to see the ending in the trailer. And I'm so glad that they didn't do that, but Baby Driver was fucking amazing, and it is now my number one film so far this year. And that was hard to dethrone because we had Get Out and Logan and Wonder Woman, all great movies that came out this year. And Baby Driver to me, Edgar Wright is just a master of filmmaking. I really love how. I think he's only done four films: the Cornetto trilogy, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End, and then Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. If he did anything else, I don't know why I'm blanking on it, but I think he hasn't. Don't quote me on that. I can't remember. But Shaun of the Dead, love that movie. I really like Hot Fuzz and The World's End, and I love Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. And I love the way he brings such a different style to his films in terms of the humor and in terms of just how the film looks and how the film is edited and paced. And this film especially, Baby Driver, was so good with all of these things that he was already great at. Especially the editing. Like, I'm not a big person on editing. I mean, I notice sometimes in movies whenever it's bad, but wow, this movie was really seamless in terms of every shot and every cut scene. Every time it cuts, it really connects in a way where it doesn't feel choppy, and I really love that. I loved how it looks because there are a lot of action scenes in this movie involving cars and just fights. And whenever they happen, whenever, like, say somebody's hitting somebody, it'll point at them, but it'll point at the other person, but in a way it looks so concrete and it looks exactly like it continued the shot, but you know it's another shot. You know they cut it and did another cut for it, but I thought they did he did such a great job with the editing. Editing, pacing, I was never bored at all in this movie. I thought that it worked really well because they did such a great job of showing off these characters and showing off what the situations they're in and how they all connect. And I really loved how it paced it along really, really well. And the acting, I think, is fantastic. Ansel Egert, I remember seeing him. I looked him up because I didn't know what he's been in, but apparently he's been in the Divergent movies, which I've unfortunately seen, and the Carrie remake, which I've unfortunately seen. I didn't see Fault in Our Stars, but he's in those, and wow, this guy, he's great in this movie, and I really am glad he got something that he could actually. It's hard to say, do great acting at because he is great in this movie. But he also doesn't have a lot of lines. I mean, he does as it goes along, but it's not the whole movie. A lot of the time he's silent. But if you understand what I mean, like he's got a better script to work with than the Divergent movies or the Carrie remake or something like that. But this guy was really good in this movie, and I loved how the character, Baby, and how you see this in the trailer, so this isn't a spoiler, but whenever he was a kid, he was in a car crash with his parents, and they died, and then you have him having I forgot what the term is, but it's where you have the ringing in the ears, and he drowns it out with music. So I love how the whole movie has all these different songs, which all blend well in this movie. But he uses them to drown out that sound, and I think that that's really, really well done. And he was just a cool character, and I liked how he went along, and I don't want to spoil it, but how he goes from beginning to end, I really liked his character, and it surprised me that he went the way he did in this movie. It was an interesting turn for something I just didn't expect. And I really liked Lily James. Now, I know she's in a big like I've seen the only other thing I've seen her in is the Cinderella remake, which Disney remake, which I was not a fan of, but she was okay in it for what she was given. And I know she's in like a big TV show. I don't remember the name, but so I haven't really seen her much in movies, but she was really good in this too. And I thought that how they were written between Baby and her, and how their romance is so, it feels so real. The way that they interact, and the way that they meet each other, and the way that they connect was a really sweet and touching romance. And I thought that these characters are in love and they really worked, and it was their first meeting in this movie, and they weren't together. Like in the movie, the movie doesn't span for a long time. It's only like, I guess, a couple days. I guess. But it feels like their relationship went a long way in those 2 days in this one movie. But I really liked their relationship. It felt so real, and it worked so well and seamlessly in how they both met each other, and like I said, how they connected. And I don't want to say how and all that because I want you to see this yourself. And I thought that Kevin Spacey was great as the leader of this crime gang. And I thought Kevin Spacey's always good, even if he's in shit movies. He's good, and I think that he is intimidating like he is in a lot of other movies. Like, it reminded me of Seven in this movie, and just how, I mean, that guy's not the same character as he was in Seven, but the way that he is in this movie, Kevin Spacey's in this movie, he's very intimidating just like that in a scary way. And I really like how Kevin Spacey can bring that acting ability into all these movies, and he can still be intimidating each time. It really shows how he's one of the best actors we have. I really love Kevin Spacey as an actor. He's so great. He's amazing, and I love how we get Jamie Foxx, who is hilarious too. All the characters are really funny. They've all got great jokes, but Jamie Foxx had a lot of good ones. I liked him a lot in it, and Joan Bernthal was good, and then John Hamm is good, and the girl, I don't know what her name is, the girl who John Bernthal is dating, or is married to, in this movie. I feel bad for not knowing her name, but I don't think I've seen her in anything else. But John Hamm was really fucking good, and I haven't seen Mad Men or much that he's been in, honestly. But in this movie, he was really, really terrific, and he really stole the show, I thought. Yeah, I mean, he stole the show, but everybody was really amazing in this. And so, like I said, the acting is great, the pacing is great, the editing is great, the soundtrack is great. It's a great mix, and it works so well in the tone and location and where these people are at emotionally. And if it's a happy moment, it's a happy song, but it blends. And if it's sad and depressing, it's sad and depressing, but it feels like it is perfect in the moment for these characters. Or, well, for Baby, you could say, because he's the one who really interprets the music. He's the reasoning for it. But I really love that. And this isn't a spoiler, but I love how the music can be used to sounds of things in the movie, if that makes sense. And this isn't a spoiler, but like whenever there's a scene where people are shooting off guns, and the shooting is blending in with the song that is playing, and it is seamlessly really good, and how it blends so well, because at first it took a couple seconds because I didn't even notice that it was blending in with the song, the bullets being shot, or the gunshot noises. And it really works on a strong level. Like, it's so surprising that it took me a couple seconds because it was so great that it was not obvious to notice. It blended in so well. And like I said, that's great, and the humor's great. The jokes, I don't want to spoil any of them because honestly, there are a lot of jokes that I've never heard before in this movie, and they really worked. And the jokes didn't take away from whenever it's sad or whenever it's intense or scary. Like, I love how this movie can be all these things, but the humor works really well, but it doesn't like change the tone of anything. It doesn't mess the tone up at all. in what the movie is accomplishing. But I love that too, and I thought that everything worked perfectly in this movie. It is a really, really good movie, and I love, because there are a lot of movies that I love that aren't technically, not as technically competent to me, I guess, or to a lot of people, but to me, no movie is ever perfect, and there are things I could probably pick from this movie. But whenever a movie does have a lot of amazing things about it, like this movie, it makes me like it more. But I think that this one just was such a strong movie. Just a strong movie with the acting and the pacing and the editing and the humor and the grittiness and and the romance. It blended all so well together. And it worked on an artistic level too, with music and with the imagery. It really worked so well with the shots that they put in this movie too. It really is such a great movie, and I really highly implore you to go out and see this. I don't know where I'd rank this out of all the Edgar Wright movies, because this is only the first time I've seen it. I've seen Shaun of the Dead a lot, and Shaun of the Dead or Scott Pilgrim, I'd say, and this, I don't know which one I pick out of the three. This one might just be the best one technically, but I don't know which one I'd pick out of them. But that's good that you have a director like Edgar Wright, where he has so many great movies that you can't pick one, but that just means they're all good or great. So I don't know where I'd rank this out of all of them, but it is just such a fantastic movie, and I implore you guys to go out and see it. Give this guy money. He is such a great, intelligent filmmaker that I know this film probably is not going to make the money a blockbuster will, like a major blockbuster. And I guess this falls into the blockbuster category, but it just doesn't feel like it. It feels like an indie movie. It really does with a bigger budget, I guess, but this movie still needs to be watched by people who love movies, and even if you don't like it, I feel like you might get something out of it still. But I thought that this just worked on every level. It was just a fantastic movie, and it's my number one film of this year so far, and that's halfway through the year. I don't know what else that comes out might overtake it. I'm not sure, but right as of now, this one is the best one for me this year. So go see this movie. Go see it and support Edgar Wright. But thanks guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.